Turners. I'm Captain Eddie. Welcome to my shop. About 2 weeks ago, I went out to get a little surgery done, and I put some thickened airbrush paint. That's a good description of it. Old airbrush paints I had that just got too thick to use anymore. Well, I used them into the flowers I cut on this to add some color. Now I'm going to buff the outside off, and I figured I'd wait for it to dry. And 2 weeks is about right. Now I normally can get out in the shop and put on my smock, stay clean, and we still have those available, but my wife tells me I can't cover this up. I don't know if you see it. This is part of the Obamacare lottery program, she tells me. DNR, yeah. And she said if I'm wearing this during and right after the surgery and something goes wrong, she gets a lot of money. That's part of the health plan. It's not real clear what I get, and she said not to worry about it. But hey, woman takes care of me. In fact, she's been taking care of Big Eye Productions for the last 2 weeks. So when you call in and get a call back from Mrs. Captain Eddie, that's my sweet, dear, loving wife to want to do anything for me. In fact, she got me in this lottery, and it's got like extended benefits and all. Okay, taking a minute to cover some questions that I get on eddiecastellan@cox.net, my email address. Guys send me comments and questions all the time, asking me for advice. So I had a few from the last couple of weeks, and since I can't type due to this new Slimming Effect side airbag that I'm wearing full time right now, I live near New Orleans. It's a good place to hide the gun. Ooh, that's politically incorrect around New Orleans. Well, if you don't have a vest, you better have a gun. All right. I got one, and guy said, have you ever run across a problem where piece of wood keeps coming out the chuck? Yeah, I do. And a lot of it is caused by not prepping the tenon that's on the end of the wood to be a better grab. And remember, always think about grabbing a piece of wood as if your fingertips are doing it. So if you're grabbing the end of a block to turn it, let's go to something that would be, here we go. If I'm grabbing the end of this to turn it, I would think I want to grab it just with my fingertips. Now, what would make it not pull out of my fingertips? If that edge right there was a little bit negative, then when I'm holding it, it would be a little bit harder to pull it out. Rather than being the other direction or lightened, where it would spring out. Okay, that's one. Then on the inside, same thing. You open your fingertips up to hold it, think about it that way. I was once at a workshop with David Ellsworth, a club workshop, and a dear old friend, a doctor, was right behind me on another lathe. And he was using another form of scroll chuck that he hadn't seen before. We all had one-ways, and he was saddled up with maybe a Nova, but instead of going righty-tighty, it went lefty-tighty to tighten up the jaws and roll them in. Well, Doc didn't understand that. He's a great old guy, but he kept putting the block in, turning the chuck until it locked up or got as tightened. Then he turned the lathe on it, out it came. About the third time he hit me, I don't know how many times it came out. The third time he hit me, I turned and said, Doc, I want to see how you're doing that, in case I want to mortally wound somebody in the future. Well, he showed me what he did, and I said, Doc, here's the deal. If you can take it and pull it out of the jaws with your hand, it's coming out. So always do a test. Even if you have a tail stuck up on it, always do a test. You need to know how well a piece is being held before you try cutting it. And if you think it'll come out, Murphy's driving that bus. It's coming out. Here's the next one. Ran across a guy at a meeting, and he's so what's that? And he says, I used to finish yesterday, and I figured it was safe, and I sanded, and apparently my mask is not any good or something, and it got in my throat,
But, you know, they wouldn't sell that stuff if it wasn't safe.
I'm sorry, they'll sell you anything even if it isn't safe. And they'll tell you on the can to protect your lungs on almost any finish you're using. Now, I was once in a demonstration that 3M put on about these little paper dust masks. You've seen them. Go past the job site. There's always a guy out there cleaning. He's got one right here. Yeah, it's the common mounting place for them. As soon as you give them to them, they pull them down.
I can't breathe in this.
They pull it up and wear it the rest of the day right here. Well, they can't wear it down here because that's where the safety goggles are. So they put it up here. I was in a demonstration with 3M, and they had a really nifty plastic hood that just dropped over your shoulders, had a nice front on it. Looked like something out of Lost in Space 1950s version. It was really a cool looking hood. They put a friend, one of our workers, in there. I was a superintendent at the time and safety director. And the guy said, I'm going to show you how this little dust mask stops the particulates found in things that are totally fluid and atomized. It'll still stop them to a degree. I got to see this. So Chaz, real nice guy, puts on this mask and they make sure it's pinched on his nose and fits nice. He can breathe. He's totally happy. Then they opened up a little port and dropped a piece of tissue paper in it with this chemical that's super strong saccharine smell. I mean, the rest of us in the room smelled the sweetness as soon as they opened the bottle and put a drop on it. I'm talking about a drop on a little piece of tissue. Dropped it in there, put it in it, and Chaz is sitting there. No problem. You okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Do us a favor. Pull that mask away. He liked to snap his head clean off. I mean, the choking, the wheezing, the shock of how much was in there that he could not smell or intake because of that little cheap dust mask was amazing. Made me buy a box full of them. And I will use them when I'm spraying any finish, or when I'm working with something that will get airborne because of the air conditioning or the filter system or whatever. They are well worth their value. Only if you take them off your forehead and put them over your nose. Remember, that's critical. I don't even think the forehead thing's mentioned in the instructions. I think you have to take it for granted. It's got to be over the nose. Now, here's another one. Hey Cap, can I tell if my tool is sharp by just looking at it? Yeah, I got a bridge for you. It's a deal. No, you can't tell by looking at it. You can feel it, but the best thing to do is, if you haven't used that tool in a while, is chuck it up, go over to your rig and make one pass, is a technical term. Make one pass on your rig and put a fresh edge on it. If you're using a low-speed grinder and you have a rig that's set, and you use a jig that's set, and you use all the math and all the accessories to make the minimum amount of steel removal, you'll end up with a really sharp edge, and that's what you want. Not guesswork, a sharp edge. The difference in your turning will be astronomical from the dull edge to a sharp edge. But why waste steel? Get a rig and a jig and make it the right way. Alright, here's another one. A guy wrote me and said, yesterday on YouTube a guy was doing this, and I figure since it was on YouTube it was safe. What do you think about it? Here's the deal. If you believe because you saw it on YouTube or in a video that it's safe, send me all your money and I'll keep track of it for you. That's a deal. Really, your money will be safe. No, it's not safe. If it doesn't appear to be safe, it's not safe. It appears that something can go wrong, it will go wrong. Who will get hurt? Who's the closest one to the wood? You! Just because you see it on YouTube or a video doesn't make it safe. If it doesn't seem right, avoid it. Leave it go. Leave it go. There is a safe way to do almost everything we do. And the things we do that are not safe, we shouldn't be doing them. I can tell you, one very famous hi-fi wood turner who does a real exotic piece of turning and is well known for it, one of his videos, he's taking a 65-pound block of wood and passing it over a flat planer to get a flat surface on it. That was right after he passed it through a bandsaw up on its edge. Those two moves told me this guy will try anything. I went to a workshop with him. That's when I saw it. He does try anything. If it doesn't look safe, it's not safe. Oh, here's a good one. I saw this. I went to church service one Sunday morning and saw a fellow wood turner, and he had his hands clenched up, and I saw him later and waved at him, and he waved, and that's what I saw. The blue fingers. His fingers were blue. I said, what happened? He said, well, I saw this guy using these inks, and I figured I'd try it, and I didn't know they'd go right through those little cheap latex gloves. You know, and they did. It just went right through it. The little cheap throwaway gloves that they use at your doctor's office every day or at Burger King or whatever, they're not dye and ink permeable. I mean, are protective. It'll go through them. It'll eat through them. It'll go. You'll end up with blue fingers or red fingers. But worse than that, you could make contact with some chemicals you really don't want to make contact with. Tylene's one of them, and it's in some of those inks and dyes. So be careful about them. If you don't have the right glove, don't use it. And just two gloves of the same, it'll just take a minute or so longer to get through. The Naltro gloves are pretty good, but get a couple of versions of gloves and keep them available for you. Blue fingers might seem to be funny, but it does take a week for that blue to wear off. Oh, I did show them where there's a lanolin hand cleaner at, I guess it was Ace Hardware. I got years and years ago. I gave him a little bit of it, and it did clean it up a little bit. He only had it in his cuticles for Monday. And I said, no, I'm not going to be the guy to call your fellow workers and tell them you paint your nails over the weekend. I had somebody else make that phone call. And, oh, here's one. My wife caught me this morning coming out into the shop. This is hanging over my lathe all the time. You know what it is. Yeah, we're not politically correct. This is toilet paper. I bring out 3 or 4 rolls and stock them out here because I use it to apply CA finishes and things. A rag never goes to spinning wood in my shop. It'll be tissue paper or paper towel or a little bit coarser napkin, but never a rag, because rags get tangled up, and when they pull, they're strong enough to pull finger parts or jam your wrist or. Rags will get you hurt. So I keep that out here. But try explaining it to the wife when you're in injured reserve why you're bringing 4 rolls of toilet paper out into the shop. You really can't explain it. So just sneak it out there and hide it. And I think that's it. That's the ones I had. I'm a little bit laid back right now, but Cindy, Mrs. Captainetti, is running the business. And we actually produced some Blackhawk Internationals this week. The 2 of us working together, get parts and pieces assembled and put out. Because the new kit at under $50 plus the shipping is the cheapest deal around on having a jig and rig for sharpening your tools. The same way, the right way, every time. It includes AccuSet sets, the whole package you need. Check it out on my website. We brought the price way down for the international crowd. Found out this is the way to go for everybody. So if you're looking to get into a sharpening rig, I can get them out to you in a couple of days. They come priority mail. It's pretty good. And it wouldn't be bad if you had a few cutters to the order, because we're holding that price way down. And I have to tell you, in September, following my return from SWAT, Southwest Association of Turners, they're more dangerous than the SWAT crew. Yeah. That's going to be in Waco, Texas, last weekend of August. I'll be there, not in the exhibition hall, but I'll be there because I want to see what's happening with everybody, and maybe I'll bump into you. Come up and say hi. But following that, in September, major cutter sale. I'm going to cut prices and make packages up you won't believe. And it's even better for club orders. So that's September. September is going to be a cutter blowout month. Why? Because I'm introducing some new shapes, and I got to raise some revenue in order to have those shapes made. So, well, that kind of gets there. I've got my platter to work on. I'm pretty sure that this is dried. What I'm going to do now is lightly sand off the overage, clean it up a little, clean it out a little, and if the colors are vibrant and ready to go, then I'm going to go ahead and throw another coat of sealer on it and get into the rest of finishing on the platter. But being one-armed, and I tell you, my wife keeps a close eye on me. If she comes out and I'm using that hand, I might be losing that hand. Yeah. Good to have you around. I wish I could say I was making shavings, but I'm not. But I'm still out in the shop having a little fun. You take care now and be good. I'll see you at SWAT. That's the last week of August in Waco, Texas. And it's every year, and it's a fantastic symposium. Look it up. Just look up SWAT, Southwestern Association of Turners. Take care now. Oh, this is so much easier to work on than the new Holger rig. So much easier. If I only had a second hand to break it loose and adjust it.